Most e-com brands aren't maximizing email marketing revenue, not because it doesn't work, but because it's underbuilt, underutilized, and treated as an afterthought. Be Healthy was doing around 12% of their revenue from email marketing before coming to us, but after rebuilding their system, that jumped nearly 5x to over 270k in monthly revenue coming from email marketing. In today's audit video, we break down what their Klaviyo setup looked like before working with us and the key gaps holding back revenue, the exact flow structure that we implemented to convert more of their website traffic into first-time buyers, how we use list growth, segmentation, and micro-ask pop-ups to drive 10 to 15% opt-in rates, the campaign strategy behind consistent revenue, from educational content to high-converting promos, and how email and SMS became a major growth engine, ultimately adding an extra 200k in monthly revenue to their business. So if you're running an e-com brand where email isn't driving at least 30 to 40% of your revenue, check out the link in the description box below this video and book in some time to speak with me. So, Be Healthy, you can see the website on the screen in front of you here. These guys are an Australian-based health and wellness brand. They sell supplements. You can see a couple of their bestsellers on the screen now. So, calcium chews, collagen powder, multivitamins, inflammation tablets as well. Does what it says on the tin, health and wellness supplements for, I'd say, a slightly older demographic based in Australia. So the business has been going for over 10 years. And when they came to us, and for reference, I'm filming this on April 15th, 2026. We've been working with these guys for about a year now. So the prior full month before they came to us was March 2025. You can see on the screen in front of you, about 50k a month coming from email marketing, which is around 12% of online sales. Not great, but not terrible. Yeah, look, in terms of the Klaviyo account, I'll be honest, it doesn't look too good. The flows, they really didn't have much live. So these are a couple of back-end flows that they had. And on the campaign side, you can see, there's quite a few zeros going on here. I'll be honest, this is a very solid brand with, very active clients who are super happy with, the purchases and the products that they've made in the past. So when they do send good emails, they crush. Typically, as you can see here, new flavors, new products, sending that to an engaged list that love the product works super well. But outside of that, not really a whole much of kind of revenue being driven. So if I now pull up the last 30 days, you will see that, completely different story, right? Over 270k in monthly revenue coming from email, which is just under 45% of total online sales. Klaviyo account obviously looks completely different as well. All of the flows are being built out here with a specific focus on kind of nurturing the pre-purchase journey, right? So a lot of this revenue coming in, welcome, browse, cart, site, checkout, abandons, all that kind of stuff working well. And then on the campaign side, every send pretty much is consistently doing really solid revenue numbers. That includes SMS. So you can see this is an SMS here. So is this one, 15k coming from 2 simple sends there. And then, yes, whilst there is still a zero, just to address this one, this is, a newsletter that they send to their investor base. Obviously, it's not kind of product and conversion focused. That is in there, but, every other time we're sending revenue, pretty consistent revenue coming in there. And in terms of the split, 60% of online sales are now coming, or of email sales, are coming from campaigns. That is normally the opposite, but I'd say here, this is a brand with, a lot of LTV. So, we're focused on the campaign side on driving repeat purchases. On the flows, it's more, converting the website traffic. And for this business, that is slightly lower than usual. SMS is driving 6% of online sales. We see months where that gets 10%, but it's very, month specific based on what's going on in the business because, we're super light touch, typically only sending 1 or 2 SMSs per month. But we do have it in the key flows. You can see here, welcome, cart abandoned, post purchase. We have SMS events in those flows, 1 or 2 messages there per flow. And then typically, as you can see, 1 or 2 SMS sends on the campaign side per month too. So that is the Klaviyo account. So in terms of what we did, the first thing was working on list growth. So they weren't actually capturing any of their non-purchasing website traffic before working with us. We came in and we installed this kind of full page pop-up with a micro ask. So typically having a micro ask instead of just asking, straight away for people's email addresses, this converts at 2 times the kind of portion higher. And we split tested this with BN Healthy, and that was the case there. So we're currently seeing around 10 to 15% sign up rate on the front end. Those new signups then go into all of our kind of pre-purchase flows. So I showed you before on the Klaviyo dashboard, on the flow side, this is what we are focused on the majority of the time. It's getting that first purchase. So we've built out flows like this welcome one, super on brand emails, really focused on having social proof, putting the product front and center, and getting people to site to complete their purchase. Now that is the flows on the front end. Now you'll also notice here that the fourth highest converting flow for these guys is a win back sequence. So what we found is within 90 days, the key is getting the customer back to site, reminding them that they've had such a great experience with the product, and then pushing them to buy something related. So typically this flow is not as high converting for most businesses as it will be here, but just wanted to point that out as, if you're a subscription brand, you've got to focus on win backs, you've got to focus on replenishment, subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. The other thing that I wanted to point out here is we used instant audiences to basically capture anonymous browsers and rebuild or clone a lot of our pre-purchase flows to also deliver to those guys. They will of course have like a higher conversion rate than the kind of initial flows, but this is still, if I sum up here, my maths isn't great, but I'll try and do this on, as I'm going. So 6K from the browse, 4K here, that is 10K, and then another 3K from the site abandoned anonymous website traffic. So, that's a substantial 13K per month in additional revenue to the kind of standard browse, site and cart flows coming from targeting people that are, typically anonymous on site. So that is the flow side. On the campaign side, this is where we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Each month we're coming in, we're looking at all the historic data, seeing what type of campaigns have converted best for BN Healthy before, looking at competitors, comparing that to our benchmark analysis of what we see on other accounts, and coming up with a content calendar for them. So this will vary based on the time of years. What I would typically say, and I'll go through the kind of Easter sale that we run in a second, but typically, Easter is obviously an exception, but typically it's content focused. So that means sending emails out that look like this one, over 25, here's why your body is asking for collagen. That is informational, educational based content that is working to build a community for the business. So most emails look like this. They still typically do 5 to 10K Aussie dollars per send, and we'd rather focus on this than reducing margin and going with a sale. So typically we plan a content calendar, 8, 12, 16 emails that look kind of like this one. We target different segments, whether it's recently active on site, whether it's window shoppers, VIPs, whatever. We are sending different messaging to all of those people based on where they are in the funnel. And then obviously, you can see here a lot of the revenue in April was driven by an Easter sale. What I would say here, or what I want to kind of run through, is this isn't just one email that we're sending out. So you can see here, on the Wednesday at the start of the month, we are teasing this to people that have been active, purchasing at other sale or promo times before, thinking there is, they are in that kind of mindset. We want to warm them up. We want to get them ready to buy. We then have the launch. We have a launch campaign that goes out via email and then a follow-up SMS. We will then resend that to non-openers the next day with a different subject line, just making sure that we're, double tapping and getting as many people back to site and interested as possible. We then have a high urgency kind of final push going out again via email and SMS on the Monday. And that is how we make sure to kind of maximize the revenue from events like that. So it's not just hey, it's Easter, go to site now. This is a weekend long sale where we're sending, multiple follow-ups. And I think the final point I want to make here, aside from look at the kind of emails that we're sending here, really fun, really on brand, people that kind of match the demographic front and center. The copy that we're using is kind of tailored to that demographic as well, as are the content topics. But you can see here that this is what we did on the Australian side. Each month, we also helped this business kind of roll out to New Zealand and America. So they expanded while they were working with us. We tailored the content kind of accordingly based on the demographic and the geography that we're targeting. And we're sending, different flows, different campaigns, segmented based on the audience. So not only are we doing this, pretty insane numbers on the Australian site, we also are driving 40% of online sales coming from email across the other two geographies too. So I hope you found this useful. This is just, one indication of a brand that we worked with in the supplement space where we absolutely crushed it for them. I think going back to the dashboard, this is, 5x in email revenue, extra $200,000 per month coming from email, extra 7 figures, $2 million per year coming from email and SMS. So, this has revolutionized their business. They're spending more on ads, they're launching new products. If you would like us to do something similar for you, check out the link in the description box below this video. Let's book in some time to chat. We can do a completely free audit for you, as we did for Being Healthy, before starting work with them. Very clearly showed them you're currently at 10%. We can 4x that, 5x that, take you to, 30 to 50% of revenue coming from email. We gave them the entire strategy. The same will be true for you. You're free to go and kind of implement that yourselves if you want. Obviously, we hope to kind of continue that relationship and work with you. But like I said, jump on a call, have a chat with me or the team. We'll do you an audit and we'll see if we can get some results like this for your business. See you soon.